Do my eyes deceive me? Or do we have new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions? They do not deceive me. We do have new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestle Plug. I am Aeron. It's time to discuss Smackdown. Yes, indeed, as I have just mentioned, new tag champs. The Boss and Hug Connection, Sasha Banks and Bayley, capturing the Women's Tag Team Championships in the main event of last night's Smackdown. I think this is good. I do. I like it. I like Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. I still think that Nikki Cross is the worker of that too. Obviously, Alexa Bliss is fantastic. She's a little bit more character-based than Nikki Cross is, although Nikki Cross has certainly cultivated a really fun character in her own right. And I think they did a good job of holding on to those belts for a while. Obviously, they were in their second reign, so the Boss and Hug Connection, not the first ever two-time tag team champions. However, they are the original champions. You know, they won them back at Elimination Chamber, I believe, last year. And yeah, ever since then, the tag team belts have had a very rocky kind of past. However, I felt that they really were legitimised when they're on the Kabuki Warriors. And now that the Kabuki Warriors aren't as much of a thing, in terms of a tag team at least, you know, I know that Kairi Sane is still hanging with Asuka, which is cool, although she seems to be jobbing out way too much to Nia Jax for my liking. I think that having the belts on Bayley and Sasha for a little while helps legitimise them even further. I think that actually, when you look at the last 2 or 3 reigns, they've been a lot more credible. And I think having the tag team titles in the main event as well, against Becky Lynch and Charlotte, that really helped legitimise those belts a little bit as well in the reign. And I just think the Kabuki Warriors brought new life into what was a really stagnant and miserable division for a while. That being said, they still are woefully low on women's tag teams. And a lot of it, I mean, even the Boss, you know, and Hug Connection is still really kind of two singles people. It's kind of like the Bar in the sense of it's two singles people who came together. But on the plus side, it works a lot more. You know, and normally I'd be very critical of this. Oh no, two singles people as tag team champions. You know, it's one of my biggest bugbears in wrestling. However, Bayley and Sasha have a great chemistry. And obviously they have a great rivalry as well. They've got a great story to tell. And because of that, for me, it works a lot more. I thought the match was good as well, very physical. I thought Nikki Cross played the, you know, face in distress really well, building up that fire, building up for the hot tag. Alexa Bliss came in. Alexa Bliss, by the way, has really improved as an in-ring wrestler. You know, her physicality, the way she works, I actually really appreciate it. I really enjoy it. And yeah, I like the ending to the match as well, because you're thinking, oh, here we go again with the dissension, you know. Sasha Banks has got the bank statement in, and then all of a sudden Bayley's like, get out, and she puts it on her, and you think, what the fuck is going on? And then, you know, before you know it, Banks gets back in, gets the bank statement in, and you think, oh. And I love the fact that Alexa Bliss gets pulled out, and you think Nikki Cross is going to get the win because she reverses the bank statement, and then Banks reverses it again. Because why wouldn't you know how to reverse when you're as good as she is? I love it. And also, Sasha Banks with some gold. And that's really important too, because I feel like out of all the women's wrestlers, she's the one who's kind of forgotten a little bit. And that's kind of the idea, I think. And it's a bit of a work. And I feel like I've been worked a little bit. Because I'm sitting there thinking, oh, fuck's sake, Sasha Banks, you know, she's Bayley's lackey and all this. But that's been the storyline. And they've done that well, I think. I mean, I know a lot of people are out here hating on it. I've seen people on Twitter after the fact going, oh, fuck's sake, once again, Sasha Banks. It's like, well, to be fair, tell me when the last time Sasha Banks really had a prominent role on TV. Probably when she had that Hell in a Cell match with Becky. And ever since, she's kind of been floundering a little bit, not really being used enough physically, which is a shame because I still think she's one of the better wrestlers and athletes they have. I love her character. She's very comfortable, especially as a heel. Not as good as a face, and I like her much more as a heel. And to be fair, because of her, I feel like Bayley has really kicked on as a heel as well. So I can't complain. I think these two holding the belts for a while helps legitimise this division. I really do. And I'm all for them having them for a while. You always wonder when are Bayley and Sasha going to implode. And I'm sure that'll happen eventually. Or maybe it will never happen. Me personally, I quite like the dynamic where there's a little bit of resentment, but they still ultimately love each other. And I love Bayley's ridiculously over-the-top enthusiasm every time Sasha does something good, like, oh my god, how amazing is she? I never doubted her, when she clearly did. I actually like the character development. I think both women are fantastic, and I think this is kind of like a reward for all the hard work they've put in. And, you know, in the era of no crowds, so to speak, other than obviously, you know, the use of developmental people to sort of boost the atmosphere, I think that these two have really been the MVPs, at least of SmackDown. The rest of SmackDown for me was a bit of a hodgepodge. I hated, and I can't believe I'm going to say this because I love them, but I hated the Miz and Morrison stuff. I know it's fun, and you know we need a bit of a break, but it's just so tacky. And I'm all for, you know, car crash Braun tipping over things. I think that Braun Strowman was really over when he was going crazy and just destroying everything, and that rivalry he had with, Brock Lesnar and Kane and Roman Reigns and all these kind of big man collisions. And ultimately, I do believe that a lot of what Braun Strowman has done that's entertained me has been a bit hokey and a bit stupid and a bit hodgepodgey, but this just felt a little bit too over the top. I love The Miz. I really think The Miz is one of the most underrated talents that WWE has ever had in terms of mic work especially, and I think he's a really good in-ring worker as well. And I love him and Morrison as a tag team. This just feels lazy. They clearly haven't got any contenders to take on Braun, so it's like, hey, here's a tag team that'll face them. And, you know, there was these segments throughout the show. They were sitting in a van, you know, just kind of almost pretending to be the hackers, which they've gone a little bit quiet on recently, I've noticed. And, yeah, it smelt a bit funny to me. It just didn't work for me. You know, first of all, they sort of mess with his protein shake and you think, it's like, tacky. And I know they qualified it by saying some of us might think it's immature. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, they still delivered the mic work well. When they're in the van, they were kind of amusing when they're sort of, you know, bouncing off of each other and saying each other's lines and finishing off each other's lines. I thought that was quite funny. But at the same time, it's just like frat boy humour. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm in my 30s and I'm like, whatever, but it just doesn't really click with me. You know, especially being British as well, I don't really get the whole frat boy American style of humour as well. I just don't enjoy it as much. I mean, I get it. I get why they find it funny. It's ribbing, isn't it? You know, it's hazing culture, but, you know, the idea is you're supposed to think, God, what a pair of dicks, and they'll get the comeuppance, and they do, but it just felt like a really tacky episode of Impractical Jokers. That's what it felt like, and I don't like Impractical Jokers. So, at least not the American version. I haven't seen the British version. It just felt really cheesy to me. Dropping slime on Kayla, you know, what the fuck. And then just battering his car. You know, there was no kind of intuition, there was no inventiveness in the way they did that. It just literally was, I mean, I thought it was quite funny when he was like, is that a fly? I think it is a fly. Luckily I've been practicing my golf swing. He just kind of, you know, and that may have been alright, and then of course they go overkill with it. Classic WWE. Oh, it's reasonably funny. Let's see how much more we can bleed out of said stone. And then, you know, Morrison's just twatting the shit out of the windshield with his softball bat or his baseball bat, whatever you want to call it. It just, I don't know. There are little moments within it where I thought, that's kind of funny, a little chuckle. But overall, it just felt really tacky. And when you think this is considered a world title of sorts in the Universal Championship, it's not great, is it? It's not exactly Austin and The Rock, is it? You know, the Universal Championship, for fuck's sake, was, you know, Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt were going to war for this thing a few months back. Now look at it. No, we've got, you know, fucking slime on the reporter. And I put stuff in your protein shake and I'm going to tip over your van. And how many times? That's the other thing as well. Braun's tipped over so many vehicles. You know, it's not that cool anymore. It's not that fun anymore. It just feels cheesy, tacky, and low rent. But it's not the only thing that's really low rent on this show, is it? So Jeff Hardy opened the show with this great promo. They're building towards this match with Sheamus, and that's fine. But I don't like it. I just don't. And I didn't think that SmackDown was terrible. It had plenty to offer, but none of it seemed to really click with me. I think it's a bit tasteless. I don't like the angle as well because I don't. With the best one in the world, I don't care about Elias, and because I know that wrestling is so ridiculously over the top, especially WWE, and I know it's just entertainment. It's very hard. I can suspend my reality for a little while. I can suspend my disbelief, so to speak, and I can enjoy wacky, ridiculous stuff. And a good example of that is Otis, who I think is absolutely fucking amazing. However, this is just a little bit too far. So you can't have on the same show, protein shakes and frat boy humour and tipping over a van, but then on the flip side of things, you must take this very seriously because Jeff Hardy used to have severe drug problems and alcohol problems and DUIs, and Sheamus framed him, and the police said he had red hair and a red beard. What is this? Low rent, B-Tech CSI bullshit. And not only that, people are trying to, classic WWE apologists, but it's alright because Jeff Hardy clearly was okay with it. That doesn't make it a good angle. Just because Jeff Hardy's okay with it doesn't mean it's still not tasteless. They're one step away, I genuinely believe, from using some sort of topical thing to do with Black Lives Matter. And that terrifies me because they're already stepping on some very dangerous boundaries with this crap. I thought it was crap. I really did. And I like Sheamus. I think Sheamus is a great mic worker. I feel like Sheamus is woefully underused. And so I think Jeff Hardy, to a certain extent, is underused. And it breaks my heart to say it a little bit. I think that without Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy really struggles. For my money. This isn't 2008. This isn't, 10, 12 years ago when you could put the WWE title on him and it felt like it meant something. He is very much past his prime, in my personal opinion. I love Jeff Hardy, okay? Before the haters come at me in the comments, I think Jeff Hardy is an all-time great in so many different ways. He's the all-time great spot monkey, isn't he? You look at guys like Young Bucks and stuff like that, a lot of those guys could really sort of date their style back to what Jeff Hardy used to do. And also Amazing Red, as we said, who was fucking incredible. And I feel like Amazing Red always gets the short end of the stick when it comes to the history of high-flying wrestling, cruiserweight wrestling, all that kind of stuff. But I do feel like this is just one step too far, and for me, Jeff Hardy just feels like mid-card guy who could be used to have a half-decent match. They keep trying to put him in these high-level emotional situations, like they did with Randy Orton, and it's lazy as well. And they did it with MVP back in the day. Sheamus isn't the first guy to say, you're a junkie, you're a druggie, whatever. It's low rent, it's trash. I don't care about Elias getting run over either. Who cares? Obviously, Elias has an injury, and that's probably why they've written him out. Michael Cole said on commentary he had a torn pectoral, not to mention broken ribs. So I assume the torn pectoral is legit, and the broken ribs were just thrown in there because, you got hit by a car. So I would assume that you would have something broken. But yeah, tacky, low rent, and I'm sick and tired of people going on social media and saying, but it's good and it could end up being really, really good. It's Sheamus and Jeff Hardy, man. It's not exactly Austin and The Rock, is it? It's not Bret Hart versus Stone Cold. It's not even Diesel and Shawn Michaels. Come on. It's just a bit meh, and nothing's ever really going to top the hit and run of Steve Austin. Just because at the time it was such a hot angle, and ultimately it may have failed in the eyes of many because, I did it for The Rock. But I just think this is trashy TV, and this is their idea of, we can get a bit of shock value here. Doesn't work for me. I really enjoyed Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles chatting shit to each other. Thought the segment was really well done. Loved the promo work between the two. They just got great chemistry. And I find it really hilarious because they're like, Backlash, the greatest wrestling match ever. Oh, really? Because a couple of weeks before that, we're getting AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan. Two of the greatest wrestlers of the modern era and beyond. These two are certified first ballot Hall of Famers. And you're going to tell me that, Edge and Orton, the guys who everyone hated at WrestleMania for having a 40-minute street fight, which, I'm very aware that I'm in the 1% that thought it was amazing. That's fine. That's not going to be the best match. The best wrestling match, the greatest wrestling match ever. And not only that, it's really fucking insulting to the entire history of everything that came before. I really am so fucking tired of seeing that tagline, and the fact they're using it for Backlash, even for other matches. They're not saying those other matches are the greatest wrestling match, but it's just there as the tagline. It's part of the graphics. It just sucks ass. Do better. Like, there are better things to sell this rivalry on than, oh, this could be the greatest wrestling match ever. They just try to murder each other at WrestleMania. No. Absolutely not. So, Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles is going to be killer. And, seeing Drew Gulak get an opportunity, I was thrilled because I fucking love Drew Gulak. I love Daniel Bryan. I love AJ Styles. So when somebody says to me, AJ Styles versus Drew Gulak, yes, please. Way too short, though. This is the kind of match that you could give them 40 minutes and genuinely they'd have a world-class match. They could have a match of the year candidate easy. This was more of a mid-card fun affair. However, once again, AJ Styles helping legitimise, put a guy over, plenty of offense. I just liked it. It works so well. And obviously Drew Gulak getting a sneaky win is fantastic. AJ Styles isn't hurt by losing. He just faced The Undertaker at WrestleMania in one of the greatest cinematic matches of all time. Drew Gulak, on the other hand, is kind of, stuttered and started, false stance. There seems to be a lot more of this, oh, he lost his job and then he got another contract and this is redemption for him. Please stop with that shit. Don't play with people like that. I just think it's a little bit insensitive, to be fair. But Drew Gulak beating AJ Styles is awesome. I love that. Great match, good fun. Would love to have seen it go longer. Hopefully we can get a longer match, a pay-per-view quality match at some point. But nonetheless, really excited. And obviously this makes the IC title feel so good, so much more legitimate than when it was being volleyed around with people like Braun Strowman and Sami Zayn and Nakamura. For me, it felt cheap. It felt like a prop. Here, it feels prominent. And Daniel Bryan selling the belt, saying, when I win this belt, I'm going to make sure it's defended every week because I don't believe in this whole handout philosophy that you hate so much. I love it. Absolutely love it. And I love AJ Styles as the heel, the smart, cerebral heel, saying, all you're doing is just giving people handouts. You're weak. You call me a coward. I'm intelligent. You're not. You're the one who's just giving yourself more work. Love it. Works really well. Really excited about that match next week. Hopefully it's going to be an absolute barnstormer. I'm just fucking disappointed it's not on pay-per-view. Absolute waste. And I get why, because they'll completely blow Edge and Orton out of the water. But still, it's Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles for a major WWE title. Pull your thumbs out. Do better. The rest of SmackDown for me was a bit meh. I'm never going to be excited when I see Mojo rolling on my screen. Sorry, Mojo. I'm sure as hell not going to enjoy Shorty G either. Oh, Jesus Christ, the short jokes. I'm going to cut your interview short. Fuck off. Fucking shit gimmick, right? Chad Gable is funny, entertaining. He was really good as part of Jordan and Gable. I actually really like those guys. Really like Gable and Jordan. I thought they were really entertaining. And instead, we get this. Oh, he's sort of a basketball player, basketball guy who's slightly appropriated some black culture. Surprise, WWE. And then he's, backed up by the New Day, the tag team champions, who seem to be doing fuck all as well. Fucking God forbid they make them defend those titles against Cesaro and Sheamus. Cesaro and Nakamura, excuse me. I just don't care. I know it sounds awful, but I don't care. Sonya Deville and Lacey Evans had a great match. Really like that. Good rivalry. That was much more fun. Otis took on Baron Corbin. It seemed like a lot of fun at the beginning, but for me, Otis, the real entertainment value there is him and Mandy and their backstage stuff and that amazing vignette they did last week. Not so much this. I love Baron Corbin as well, and I thought, oh, this is going to be money. And they played off each other quite well, but then the match was just shit and cheap. Oh, I'm just going to hit you with the chair a load of times, and then you're going to no-sell that and kick off. Pointless. Bit of a pointless segment for me, but it's always nice to see Otis and Mandy, particularly Mandy, of course. But no, I love both of them. I find Otis very funny, very entertaining. And like I said, Sonya Deville and Lacey Evans, I thought their match was really good. And they're obviously still building to Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose as well. Mandy Rose getting involved, costing her the win against Lacey Evans. Nice to see Lacey Evans is doing really well, by the way. That match was physical. Sonya Deville and Lacey Evans, two women who don't mind smacking each other in the mouth. The only thing I don't like, this bullshit persistent angle. It's almost like Vince has gone on Twitter and said, oh, that's what winds people up. I'm going to use that. That's money. I don't give a shit if someone's blonde or a brunette. And it's lazy. Not only that, Sonya Deville, right, is a fantastic character. Now, I get that she's a heel, so she needs something that's going to wind people up a little bit, but most people love Sonya Deville. And so if she's going to be a heel, it's going to have to be better than, oh, I just don't like her because she's blonde. Blonde women are rubbish. I'm brunette. I'm better. That's shit. She's better than that. And also, being that she's a representative of LGBTQ, surely she's not going to be the kind of person who would attack someone or denigrate them for a feature. That's cheap, tacky for me. That being said, the quality of the match and the performance and the psychology of the women is absolutely undeniable. Lacey Evans, by the way, massively underappreciated. And all those people hating on Lacey Evans, she just keeps going out there every week, having great matches, helping to boost people's profiles, not necessarily winning all the time, not getting in the way of any rivalries. Just because she was one of the first people to challenge Becky Lynch, everybody's up in arms, all the Becky stands like, oh, fuck's sake, it was too soon. Well, she's actually a really credible member of this women's roster. I think she's done great. SmackDown as a whole, fun, plenty to talk about, but ultimately way too much stuff that for me is either low rent or just a little bit trashy or classless. That's my biggest problem with some of these angles going on. They've got great rivalries physically, they've got the right people facing each other, they just need better content, better storylines to help boost their profile. That's pretty much the biggest issue for me with it. Got no problem with Jeff Hardy facing Sheamus, think that's fine, just would like to see the rivalry, fine-tuned a bit, make that storyline feel a bit tighter, a little bit more succinct and a little bit more professional, and the same with a lot of other things going on as well. But very excited for that IC title match next week, and to be fair, overall, seeing tag team champions crowned, always lovely to see a major title change. I know a lot of people don't care about the women's tag team titles, but hey, I'm trying to be positive about it, and I feel like they've done a good job with these belts for quite a while now, and this feels like a decent title change, something to write home about. So overall, not a bad SmackDown. Probably would have given it 3.5 out of 5 if I was feeling a bit more generous, maybe on the 3.5 side, but probably around 3. It was middle of the road in some ways, but it had plenty of content to enjoy. But what did you guys think? Let us know. Leave a comment below. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe. Obviously, hit the bell icon so you can get notifications of all our content going forward. I've been Aeron Nix. Thank you very much for listening. We'll catch you very soon for more nonsense from the Wrestle Plug.